Good day, folks. The purpose of this video is to give you a bit more of the negative side of reasons to move to Cape Town, and it's really to help you to get a more objective view of why you're coming to Cape Town, so that you've got the good and the bad. I will make other videos on my channel that'll be far more positive, but this one is a bit more of a negative one to help you get a more objective view. Now, Cape Town, like most South African cities, suffers with a crime problem. We have, unfortunately, on one of this ranking here, we can see that we are ranking right up there as one of the homicide capitals of the world, but not really much different than the rest of South Africa. But the reason for us being so high up is, in Cape Town at least, is that you've got the gangs around here. But if you're not in the gang areas, your crime is significantly less, I must say that. In my time here, I haven't experienced any violent crime problems, but I have had petty crime. What has happened to me is that I left my balcony door open overnight. Somebody came in and nicked a computer and a TV from us. Now, that was really my own fault. I was actually quite silly. But my experience of that also made me appreciate that the South African Police Service in Cape Town is not that bad. They were quite proactive and helpful. And then also to note that there are community neighborhood watches here, and people use a lot of private security, as they do in the rest of South Africa, to make their places more safe. So that is things that you can do to improve your safety around here, but you just have to be aware of these things. And it's different. It really depends on your area, the type of crime, and you must be vigilant, as in the rest of South Africa. Then also, that the other thing, the downside of Cape Town is, and it's notorious for, is the weather. But my personal view is that the weather is really something that you make of it. Now, my experience from coming from Gauteng to here is that it is not as cold as you would get in Gauteng, but it's slightly less warm around here. And winter doesn't get that cold, but it can be miserable, i.e. dreary, rainy temperature, often here around about the 10 degrees. But that's what it is. Then it also depends on where in Cape Town that you are. If you're in this area over here, which is more the northern suburbs, is where I live, you'll see there's a mountain range over here and a mountain range over here that protects you a lot from the wind that comes from the oceans. So you would get a lot of wind in these areas here. So having said that, on the wind, if you go and you can make the most of it. Now, this is Blouberg Strand over here. So to give you an idea, if you were to go and live in Blouberg Strand or go on weekends there, this is the site that you would see. A lot of kite surfing, windsurfing. You could even take it up yourself. So it is very nice from that perspective. So the weather actually in that regard actually is your friend. Then also here, if you were to, there's very plenty of nice restaurants over here. It's a beautiful view to have a view of Blouberg Strand and the people swimming and playing in the water. Having said that, the water around here is, because we're fairly far down south, it is fairly nippy. A solution to that is to get yourself a wetsuit, which is what I have had, and you can swim year round, which is quite pleasant. There are people in the water, but it's not crowded, so overcrowded. So you can actually have quite a pleasant experience in playing in the sea. So I just mentioned that. It can be a downside, but there are solutions to these problems. So that is the one thing. Then also now, because Cape Town is a winter rainfall area, it has, once again, the good with the bad. If you were to look here, you would see there's a lot of wine estates in the wine estates in the area over here. You can see them. There's a heck of a lot of wine estates that you can go to. So that will give you an idea of what you can experience around Cape Town. So you can make the most of dreary weather. It's probably quite romantic to go and have a nice glass of wine with somebody you love, or just have a good talk with friends at a wine estate. So then another thing of Cape Town, as in most other South African cities that you do have, is there is a traffic issues. Not really very much worse than the rest of the country, but similar. I don't think one must be naive about it. You can see Cape Town is over here ranking in terms of bad traffic. But there are plans you can make. Certainly, that's what I have found, is that within the suburbs, your traffic is not that bad. You've got more of a traffic problem if you went on the highways and you had to travel to work, which is what I do in the mornings. And when you travel on the highways, you try and avoid certain hours, typically from about 6 o'clock in the morning till about 8:30 is peak time traffic. And then in the evenings from around 3 o'clock till about 6 o'clock. But with a modern view of flexi hours and working from home, you can really often make plans around that. Certainly, what I do. The other thing that you need to get used to if you do come to Cape Town is that your house prices are a little bit more pricey than the rest of South Africa. Yeah, I've got the rands per square meter, and I've compared Durbanville, Bryanston, and Waterkloof. Now, Waterkloof is an affluent area in the Pretoria, of affluent suburb in the Pretoria area. Bryanston's an affluent suburb in the Johannesburg area, and Durbanville is an affluent suburb in the Cape Town area. Not the most affluent, but certainly very affluent. And you can see that it does compare quite, it's quite a bit more pricey what you get per square meter. But having said that, your property values have kept track, and there's a pretty good capital growth in your properties as they grow with time. So it is a downside, but it also, I will tell you, I don't think you're going to lose your money as you do gain capital growth, but it is something to be aware of. And the way I did this was just taking 10 properties of each area and basically aggregated them. And of course, there are many plans, ways to skin a cat. You can, be prepared to give up on square meterage, or maybe get a place that's a fixer upper, or just pay more. Or negotiate very well. It's up to you. For people coming from the rest of the world, especially the UK and the US, and if you were to buy a property here, for you, it will be a bargain. For you, you won't believe what you can get here for your dollar or your pound. Now, the other thing for people that come here is, of course, the economy, and you want to know a bit more what the economy is like here. Well, this is now a comparison between Cape Town and the rest of South Africa. You can see that there's quite a big finance hub in Cape Town, quite progressive, works quite well. There are other sectors of the economy that are not as prevalent here as the rest of the country, i.e. Mining is one, agriculture is another. But there's also a very big tourism industry around here. And you could see that by the population of people that come through the Cape Town International Airport, on an annual basis. About 7 million people go through Cape Town International Airport. And having said that, there is also an airport being built in the Durbanville area, which is a bit more in the north of Pretoria, which I showed you. I'll just show you here quickly. It's in this area over here. The airport is about over there being built. Okay, just to give you an idea of the airports that are being built. Then the other thing is that there's a lot of tourism, so that's an industry. And then also what you can see is, if you compare to the rest of South Africa, the unemployment is significantly less. So this should be quite good for one to understand, or a good part of Cape Town. And it does indicate that there is more social cohesion here. Then the other problem in Cape Town, as the rest of South Africa, but a less of a problem, is the load shedding. Now, Cape Town has a more proactive government than the rest of South Africa. And South Africans that live here will be able to explain to you far better than I would, and it's probably a whole talk on its own. But having said that, because they use the pumped storage schemes around here very well, they are able to, when you have a stage 2 load shedding in the rest of South Africa, we'll probably be at stage 1, or might be even lucky not to even have it. So that's really what's happening in Cape Town as far as load shedding is concerned. Then there's also a very good local solar installation industry here. So if you want to really get yourself immune to the problem of load shedding, that is something that you can do there as well. Now, people living in South Africa will recall that a couple of years ago there was quite a bad drought in Cape Town. And the reason for it is, you'll see here, you've got these 2 dots down here, which show you that you've got significantly lower rainfall for 2 consecutive years. And that was really the problem. It was 2 consecutive years, really once in a lifetime, once in a couple of 100 years experience. But what they did is did make Cape Town residents more resilient to the problem. What they did is you'll see a lot of, if you go restaurants and stuff, you'll see a lot of these water saving devices in terms of hand washing, and a lot of properties here have installed rain tanks to be able to collect the water. So the city is more resilient against this problem than it has been in the past, and it's also been the city itself, the municipality, has been doing proactive steps, the government here, to be able to withstand another severe drought. Now, Cape Town, one of the things that attracts one is, of course, the beautiful plant growth around here. It's one of the smallest floral kingdoms in the world, very beautiful, a lot of fynbos. It is one of the reasons that South Africa often wins prizes at the Chelsea Flower Show in London, is they use the Cape fynbos, and it really is the sights that you get around here. But with that comes a bit of a downside, in the sense of that it does have a significantly higher pollen count than the rest of the country. My daughter suffers also from allergic reactions, and one has to be proactive and make sure you've got antihistamine, or at least know where it is, so that if an attack takes place, that you can give antihistamine to at least get rid of the allergic reaction. But it is something to be aware of. Now, for many South Africans, historically, Cape Town has been known to be pretty cliquey. I think it has been less of late because of the semigration from the north. There's a lot of Afrikaner people, especially in the northern suburbs. So, you might meet your old friends from Gauteng if you move down. So that does help with the clickiness. And this article tries to give reasons for Cape Town being cliquey. Cape Townians don't need people as much. Well, it could be true. Certainly they don't have to be as friendly, because they can do a lot of their own things and not have friends. But I also think it's got to do with the weather, less of a braai culture, which is something that typical of South Africans, is how we, make friends, is meet around a braai. But having said that, there are things that you can do to mitigate that, and which makes life better for you, in the sense of, because one of the reasons I believe, at least, Cape Town has this clickiness, is that it's really a cosmopolitan. If you're in the north of Cape Town, you've got a lot of Afrikaners people here. But as you move down south and more to the city way, it becomes far more metropolitan, cosmopolitan. There's really a lot of cultures and subcultures from the rest of the continent here, as also from Europe. So that does lead to a lot of cliques to be formed, as you could imagine. But having said that, it does give you a lot of culinary delights. You can see a potjie course, chakalaka, vetkoek, what biltong. If you go up to Namaqualand way, you'll see that there. And then you've got the Cape Malay cuisine, and I showed you earlier the picture of the fish and chips, because that is what I also do, treat myself every now and then to some lovely fish and chips, and it really is well priced, so very enjoyable. But you can also, people change their strips around here, make them built in with windows, etc. And then it creates a lovely, cozy environment. Remember, this is a wine area. You can enjoy a lot of these wonderful Cape Malay dishes. You can even go to the waterblommetjie breedie, and you can learn how to make that. So, you take the good with the bad. But it could be cliquey. And one of the solutions to the clickiness, one of the things I did want to mention before that is that, because Cape Town is so cosmopolitan, it attracts a lot of people from the rest of Africa, especially our tertiary educational institutions. And that's also part of the clickiness, because it's so multicultural here. You can see here from the Times data that Cape Town has the highest ranking university in the continent, and the second highest. And then you've also got the University of the Western Cape. So it's got a lot of good universities around here. Now, having said that, one of the solutions for me personally that I have found to get myself into communities, you have to make a bit of effort to get out there and do something. And for that purpose, I have created a video for churches here, and I'm going to be creating videos of other things for you, how you can get yourself integrated into Cape Town society. The churches around here tend to be less mega churches. There are some sizable churches around here, but also very good churches for church life. So you go and explore my video, churches in Cape Town's northern suburbs. I'll make others for other parts of the city, just so you get a feel for the church life, and that's probably a wonderful way to get yourself integrated into the local community. So I hope this video helps you and helps you to get a more balanced view of moving to Cape Town and what you're in for if you decide to make Cape Town your home.